Hello, hello, hello. Good afternoon, good morning, good night, wherever you are, whatever time it is. Welcome. Welcome to the Manifestation Guide for People of Color. And for those of you who are wondering, what does it mean, the Manifestation Guide for People of Color? Like, why can't it just be Manifestation Guide? Well, it is the Manifestation Guide for People of Color because the content that I discuss in this manifestation guide is unique in a sense that it discusses things that people of color experience. One of the steps of manifestation is clearing blocks that are keeping you from doing certain things that you want to do, meeting certain people that you want to meet, and really expressing yourself the way that you want to express yourself. But maybe there are certain blocks that are holding you back because of your belief system and the belief system around things such as race, around things such as ethnicity, etc. So this manifestation guide for people of color is unique in a sense that we discuss race, and we don't hide away from discussing race. We discuss the manifestation guide for people of color. Is not afraid to discuss race and the different disparities that we see in race in America. We are not colorblind, so we discuss race in many different capacities on our road to manifestation. So that is why it's called the Manifestation Guide for People of Color. But let's focus on the manifestation in this guide. And so, manifestation is being able to create something from your mind and bringing it into the physical field. So, going from the energy field or the spiritual fields or the invisible and bringing it into the visible. And so that's really what manifestation is being able to have a desire or a goal in our mind and being able to bring that desire or goal into the physical. And so, really, that is the basis of manifestation. But we'll talk about a lot of the different things that go into manifestation and the way what guides you into creating those things or taking something from the spiritual world and bringing it into the physical. So, we'll go over those things step by step. So that gives you just a sense of what this whole title is about, the Manifestation Guide for People of Color. We discuss manifestation and we discuss why we uniquely call it for people of color. So let's just talk about what is this guide about? What am I guiding you through? So, what I'm guiding you through is a 10-step process of manifestation. We are going to talk about manifestation from the beginning to the end. We're going to look at it from different perspectives. We're going to look at manifestation from looking at it from a bird's eye view to looking at it from on the ground, looking at it from the left to right. We're going to look at manifestation in all its totality in a comprehensive way. And that's really what the journey is about. It's a 10-step journey that looks at manifestation and teaches you the skills to apply to manifest really your heart's desire. That's what manifestation is about, is bringing into the physical your heart's desire. Hence the first step. What is your heart's desire? And so that's how we start off the manifestation guide. Is lesson 1. What's your goal? What's your heart's desire? What are you trying to create? What is in the spiritual? What is in the thought world that is in your heart that you want to bring to the physical? That's what we talk about in lesson 1. And so that's just the foundation of manifestation, is figuring out what is the goal. The second step is really understanding what manifestation is from a perspective of energy. I'm huge on energy. I'm huge on vibration. I'm huge on making sure that my internal state is operating on a high vibration in order to attract the things that that my heart desires. So we're going to talk about vibration. We're going to talk about energy. We're going to talk about the different vibration scale, the different energy levels on a vibration scale. And we're going to talk about that in detail. We're also going to talk about universal laws and understanding universal laws and why they're so important in the space of manifestation, to making sure that all of our tools, we know all the tools, we know the universe, this playing field in which we're working in and which we're navigating. And that's really what universal law is. It's being in tune with the laws of the universe. So we're going to discuss that in lesson 2. The next lesson is lesson 3. We're going to talk about our conscious and subconscious mind and really unpacking what does it mean to have a conscious thought and what does it mean to have a subconscious thought, and what are subconscious thoughts? How can we locate our subconscious thoughts? How do we know what our subconscious thoughts are? We know what our conscious thoughts are because they're on our conscious mind. They're easy to locate. But it's the subconscious thoughts that make it a little bit harder to locate because they're underneath our conscious mind. So I'll be talking about that in great detail and how do we locate what our subconscious thoughts are, because they do drive a lot of our actions. How do we locate these thoughts and how do we change them? How do we bring awareness to our subconscious thoughts? And so we're going to play around with that a lot and understanding how to locate our subconscious thoughts and how they influence our actions. The next thing is lesson 4. And this is really getting our tools for manifestation, our tools for bringing our spiritual, energetic desires, thought desires into the physical world. What are some tools that we can use? What is our intuition, which is a tool? How can we use that to manifest? What is the intuition? When do we hear it? How do we know it's our intuition, etc.? So we'll be discussing that. We'll also be discussing our higher self and our ego self and how that creeps up and being able to distinguish the difference between our higher self and our ego. So we're going to talk about that in terms of tools. When can we know that we're speaking from our higher self? When do we know that this is our ego? How do we determine the difference? So we'll talk a lot about that. We'll also talk about imagination. That's also a tool. So there are a number of tools that one needs in their toolbox on their journey to manifestation. The next thing that we'll be talking about, and this is where for people of color comes into play. We'll be talking about wealth in the vein of African American wealth, Black wealth. What does it mean? What is it historical? What is it now? And individualizing our own ability to create wealth. Much of what we have to understand on the journey to manifestation is that manifestation, we manifest in spite of. We manifest in spite of what is on our external, what we see in our external. And much of the things that we see in our external come up on the journey to manifestation. And they usually behave as blocks that we used to doubt ourselves. We used to have fear. So it's very important that we have awareness to these things that are on our external that might influence our behaviors, that might influence our subconscious mind and potentially hold us back because we think that this is the only thing that we can manifest because maybe we're Black or something, or maybe because we're a person of color. And so we really in lesson 5, I really start talking about the history of African American wealth. And that awareness allows you to understand maybe why we see some disparities now. And it has nothing to do with individual ability. And so that's so important that we are able to see that our individual ability is different from what we see in the world surrounding us. and why we see the things in the world surrounding us as people of color, and why it's so important to really be aware of the things around us, but also be aware of our ability and the way that we are made. And so we're really going to talk about that in lesson 5. And so I'm really excited. I'm actually going to be reviewing a couple of books and a couple of studies from really brilliant folks in the space of wealth creation, in the space of manifestation, who are African Americans. And so it's really wonderful to hear from that perspective, right? Because this is the manifestation guide for people of color. The next lesson that we will be discussing is lesson 6. Lesson 6 is when we really step into the trauma that we may hold in our bodies from race, right? So, like I said, lesson 5, we will be discussing a lot about race and bringing awareness to a lot of the disparities of race and why those disparities exist, right? And sometimes those things can be a bit traumatic, right? In 2021, right? Even thinking about 2020, right? The different things that we saw with Black Lives Matter, right? And so sometimes we hold on to this trauma in our bodies on a somatic level. So, lesson 6, I'll be walking you guys through a number of yoga flows, which are restoration yoga, which studies have shown that restoration yoga really allows that release of race-based trauma and allows you to come to a place of center of that higher self on the journey to manifestation, and being able to regulate the nervous system